Network documentation is the bane of most administrators. It's tedious, time-consuming, and since things change so quickly, it's difficult to keep it up to date. It's especially difficult if the network has never been documented before, but has already reached a certain size. My senior innovation project is an attempt to create a scalable method for documenting networks. The project has been broken up into 3 different sections: review of current documents, auditing, and suggested practices. The most fundamental portion of this problem to solve, of course, is where do you start? I suggest that place to start is a review. This encompasses a look at what documentation already exists, what essential third-party services there are, and a short, superficial audit of the essential equipment. This will not only bring together the building blocks needed for the rest of the documentation process, but it will also provide a solid foundation for troubleshooting the essential systems. The review will vary depending on both the size of the network and obviously how much documentation already exists, if any. Manuals, lists, sales receipts, emails, even handwritten notes need to be gathered and looked at. Clearly, not all of it will be up to date, but it will provide an idea of what you can expect to find later in the process. Some of the critical services used by an organization are provided by a third party. If they go down, there shouldn't be a mad scramble to find the information that's needed to contact them and get troubleshooting started. Lastly, a relatively short and superficial review of the essential system should be done. This is to gather just the basic information about what servers, network equipment, and services exist, as well as how to access them. This is to ensure that there is a basic understanding of those systems in order to minimize downtime and to better complete the more in-depth audit process. Templates are available to help with this part of the process at dpbasham.com. The next phase, the audit process, is likely going to be the most time-consuming. The larger and more complex the network, the more time it's going to take just to gather and process all the needed information. It's broken up into 2 parts to make it easier and less daunting. The network audit will focus on the physical networking, equipment, and any servers that are on the network. The computer audit will consist of doing an in-depth inventory of the computers, printers, and other peripherals that are in use. The network audit portion will nearly all be done manually in order to ensure that all the equipment is covered. The areas to cover are the hardware, subnetting scheme, and access rights. As the major networking devices and physical runs are looked at, a network map can be drawn out by hand, and eventually a map of the network ports should be done on a physical map of the building. The computer audit may take on different forms depending on the size of the network. Smaller networks may be easier and more cost-effective to audit manually. Larger network audits, on the other hand, can be handled faster by using a software solution like Spiceworks, Landsweeper, or Case, which requires some time to set up but can gather a lot of detailed information much faster than the manual auditing process can offer. The recommendations in the suggested practices section are meant to be a framework of ideas for organizing a network in a way that makes it easier to manage and keep documented. Obviously, every network is different and will need to be tailored to specific needs, but these guidelines can be a jumping-off point for getting started and getting reorganized. Physical asset control is essential in maintaining a network. Physically tagging computer assets will help keep track of them through their life cycle, and tying that tag to a computer name will help keep things organized. Putting the tags and computer information into a database, whether it's a spreadsheet or one of the previously mentioned software solutions, is a good method of asset control. The auditing templates also have some of these suggested practices embedded in them, such as warranty information and replacement scheduling. Suggestions in networking cover the potential questions that are raised when trying to organize a network, and are based on the network size and cost. Choosing a network model, whether or not to use a domain, equipment standardizations, and even naming conventions can be used to simplify a network. Simplifying and organizing helps to reduce downtimes, troubleshoot problems, and cuts down on long-term costs. The process of documenting a network is time-consuming and resource-intensive. Even a small network may require hours of time spent gathering and processing information. In the end, however, it will translate into greater control of a network and ultimately a better experience for its administrator and the team that supports it.